Hey folks, my name's Rene Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Bootser. Blackhand of the Mexican Mafia. Prison gang politics.
Hey folks, my name's Rene Enriquez and you're watching Uncensored. So it's been a while since we produced one of these being made episodes. For those people who just tuning in, who have never seen the channel before, Being Made is a series we are running of The Black Hand Being Made. That's the book that Chris Blatchford and I collaborated on. So in the creation of this book, we first met and signed a collaboration agreement, and I was being housed at Walnut, California, a sheriff's station during my debrief actually, and Chris was allowed to come see me. Chris is a well-known journalist from Fox News who used to specialize in Mexican Mafia stories. So my father contacted him and asked him to come see me because I wanted to do a book. Chris agreed, and the rest is history. So we first started with these videos, and it's through these videos that we extracted a lot of the text that was included in the manuscript. So I'm going to let you watch this, and I'll jump in and tell you what my thoughts were. I started watching this a second ago, and I knew it was about the Salvador Juan Buenostro hit. That's the famous hit we did, or infamous hit rather, we did in the county jail in front of about 50 cops, a probation officer, attorneys, and I remembered that segment right there. So let's run it and see what pops up, see what kind of memories it joggles, and I'll comment along the way. Here we go, folks. At that point in time, after those two failed attempts went down, I told him, okay, I'll orchestrate this thing. Let me handle this. He said, okay, you handle it. You handle everything. I told Benny, it's going to be me and you. We're going to hit him in the attorney room. Let me set it up. And Benny tells me, okay, he says, when you see me go, you go. And that was the basic plan. The basic plan was we're going to hit him in the attorney room, stand him until he's dead. And that was just the gist of the plan right there. So, okay, we're going to brutalize this guy. We're going to make this a public statement. We're going to make sure everybody knows that we did this. And it's going to be one of the most horrific hits in the eyes of this department here. I remember this specifically. In the Salvador Buenostro hit, they had tried to get him on two different occasions in the visiting room. Benjamin Peters, Topo Peters, had pulled him out to a visit, and no visitor showed for him. They just scheduled, at that time, you just schedule a visit, and somebody would come out, I believe it was. Or somebody had pulled him out, and he wasn't expecting a visit. I wasn't sure, but on two different attempts, they failed. In fact, I believe Mon saw Benjamin Peters attempting to open up his handcuffs, and you could tell Mon was scared. I remember seeing him immediately after that first attempt, and I never really liked Mon. He always was an arrogant dude, small guy, but he walked like he was 10 feet tall, and I just never liked him. I never felt close to him, and never felt good vibes from him. Just one of those guys you feel like as a carnal that he's not your brother. He may be a member, but he's not your brother, right? And I'm sure he felt the same way about me. But I never got a good vibe from him. But immediately after that attempt, I remember he used to sell us cigarettes for $5 a pack. So I went to buy cigarettes from him, and he sent me 2 packs for free. And I chuckled to myself when he did that. I said, this guy has never been giving me anything in his life. And when I asked him, I said, hey, bro, can I buy some cigarettes from you? He said, oh, hey, brother, you don't got to pay me, man. You're my brother, and this and that. And it just sounded so plastic and fake. I remember that. I remember that specifically. But during this, they had attempted to hit him in the visiting room. They weren't successful. And I told them, I said, look, I'll orchestrate it. I'll schedule a visit. I had an attorney by the name of William McKinney, a black gentleman who was representing me on my homicides, and I called them and I told them to schedule a visit for these individuals because I wanted them interviewed as character witnesses, right? I listed Benjamin Peters and Salvador Buenostro. And that's how it came about. Let's run a little bit more video.
And why?
Because it's a statement. The mafia, the state, the audacity of what we're doing. That's what we want out there. We're spreading our terror. We're on a campaign of saying, we are going to brutalize people. We are the Mexican Mafia. We want you to understand that we'll whack even our own. And we want you to understand this about us, because we're going to translate this. We're going to parlay this into money. We're already starting to think in organizing. We're already dealing in the county jail. We're taking over the county jail in terms of dealing. We're trafficking large amounts of narcotics in there.
You know what just struck me? I'm wearing the same color T-shirt as I am in the video. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Here it is. Like, this is 2002. 24 years ago, I still got the T-shirt. No, this is a new one. But it's the same color.
I'm still using it at the time, but we're making good money at this point. You know, we're starting to see the lucrative aspect of this business, organizing crews. And this is when I started forming the nucleus of my crew back then. We're starting to think as businessmen. And we understand that this violence, it translates to dough. I mean, really, that's what it translates. Terrorism. We're spreading our terrorism. Mm-hmm. And do you want me to stop?
No, go ahead.
You missed a whole portion
I
of
got
that.
it here, though.
Okay, great. See, I'm forgetting. Technology.
That's why I'm doing
lost.
both.
So that's the reason for the brutality, the sheer brutality of the hit. I mean, not only that, it's going to bolster our political our equity, I guess. So I set it up with one attorney, and he doesn't show through. And just on a fluke, on the same day, I actually set it up with one attorney, Joseph Gutierrez. I call the office and I tell him, hey, you know what, I need to see you on Tuesday. Can you make it here? And I get a confirmation, yes. He doesn't show, but William McKinney shows. William McKinney shows, and I go out there to the attorney room. I take my knife in my shoe and my key in my mouth, and I have a pretty good knife, about 6 inches long, about 2 inches wide. Pretty good, you know, lethal weapon. And Benny's got, again, those big bozo shoes with a big old knife in his shoe. And I go out there and I see my attorney. I'm in attorney booth 2. They have these small booths similar to this with glass panels. I'm sure you've all been into them in the county jail, man, central jail. And I give him a piece of paper. I said, look, man, these guys want to talk to me about my case. So why don't you pull them out so we can interview them? He says, all right, fine. He wasn't involved in the plot at any level, nor were any of these attorneys. This was a misconception of the department. At one point they thought that they were involved in the conspiracy itself, but they weren't. They were duped into pulling these guys out by me. So he says, yeah, he goes and puts in the form, and sure enough, 15 minutes later, I see Mon walk in, and I see Benny walk in. As soon as Mon sees me, we locked eyes. So I'm looking at him right through the window, and he knew right then. He's done. He's going to be done right then. He knows it. He knows it. Because there, when you're chained in the front, you only have one hand chained. I'm completely free in the back. I'm completely free in the back. Oh, as a matter of fact, I have one handcuff thing. I think it's to the waist or something. They have it to the chair or something like that.
I had completely forgotten that I had asked Joseph Gutierrez, another. There were, cause I had two attorneys, and because I had a death penalty case, you get primary counsel and co-counsel. So I had two attorneys because I was fighting a death penalty case, and I completely forgot that I had asked Joe Gutierrez to do it. Right, and he didn't show. And so I William McKinney just showed up that day, and that's exactly what went down. We had William McKinney pull him out. I had the names right there, and I remember that look from Mon. It was a look of resignation, like he knew it's happening. They've already tried a couple of times, and here it is. He hasn't locked up. He didn't lock up, even after he got hit. He didn't lock up. I'll give him that, right? He didn't do none of that. And I remember we locked eyes, and I'm sitting in this booth next to Mike Berman. We used to call him Israeli Mike, Jewish guy. His uncle was worked with the embassy. I think everybody said he was with Mossad or something like that, right? He was a high-level politician. And I remember Mike saw me taking off my handcuff. And then he saw me taking my shoe off, and I pulled this knife out of my shoe, and his eyes got like that big, like huge. He's looking at me, and his attorney's looking at me. I told him, don't worry, it's not for you. and you could just see them watching everything I did, and I'm ready to go. And as soon as I heard the cops yell, "Hey!" I jumped up. I jumped up and I took off over there. I think I even left my shoe. I just took off over there in one shoe, and let's watch the rest of the video.
And there's this Israeli guy, we call him Israeli Mike. His uncle is Lowell Bergman from 60 Minutes.
Lowell Bergman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Lowell.
Well, they're sitting there doing an interview, right. He's out there with his attorney or Lowell, I think. I'm not sure who it is, but I know it's Bergman. His nephew's right there. He's a friend of mine. He's looking at me, and I look at him, and he knows something's up. And it's just like through a glass partition. We're this close. He's looking at me through a glass partition, and he sees me slip off my shoe, and his eyes get big. Boom, 50-cent pieces. He starts getting scared. He doesn't know what's going on. Mon Buenoslo is a good friend of his. They do business together. He's a cocaine addict. He uses cocaine. He buys from Mon Buenoslo. So I think somehow he thinks we're going to stab him. There's a couple other individuals out there, parole officers, law enforcement officers. And I see Benny over there getting chained up. So I start immediately unhooking myself. I take my key out of my mouth and I start undoing my handcuff lock. And Israeli Mike is looking at me, scared to death. He sees me kick off my shoe and pull out a knife about that big. And he's just, all he can not to jump out of his seat and start yelling. Because he's scared. And the visitor's right there, doesn't know what's going on. The individual he's talking to. Doesn't know what's going on. But Mike knows what's going on. He sees everything I'm doing. And then I'm just waiting for the key. I'm waiting for the key phrase. Benny's supposed to kick it off. And I'm supposed to go out after. And I hear, "Hey!" As soon as I hear "hey," I'm up. I jump out. My handcuff's already done. And I did not jump over tables. That's a myth. I ran it completely around. But I kept sliding because I only had one shoe on. So it looked kind of funny, like I was jumping or something, I guess, because I was sliding. I rounded myself from the private booths all the way over to the first aisle, A row. And Benny was already on the ground. Benny was already, no, actually, he had Benny in a headlock. Benny only stabbed him one time in his knife bend. But Benny didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's the funny thing is that as soon as Benny stabbed him, Mon wrapped him up, and Benny's knife had doubled over. Apache from Garrity made the knives for us, actually. James Prado, he made the knives for us. And Benny's was like a weak piece of metal. I don't know, but it folded, right? Mine didn't. Mine was thick. It had reinforcement. It was pretty wide, and it was brutal. But Apache cut it for me out of his locker. I remember that. And he sharpened it, and Chuco put a handle on for me. Chuco from VNE, he put a handle on for me. And I remember that once I heard "hey," I ran over there and I started sliding around because it's like this linoleum floor or cement, polished cement. It's very slippery, right? I have one shoe on, so I'm slipping and sliding. And by the time I get to A row from the private attorney booths, time I get over there to A row, Benny's wrapped up in a headlock, and Mon's taking him down. Mon takes him to the floor.
Stabbed him in the head, right?
I don't know where he stabbed. He says he stabbed him in the neck and the chest, but
he stabbed him in the head and the knife bent.
I know he only made one motion.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mon was actually pretty good. He got Benny in a headlock and it controlled him after that. And all I heard Benny was cursing after that. I could hear Benny when I was running over there screaming, "Die, motherfucker, die!" And Benny, he had hold of Benny's hand with a knife. Benny couldn't do anything. And Benny's yelling all this ridiculous stuff, and he's not doing anything. And I don't even think Mon's bleeding at this point. And he hadn't even done anything. It was like almost a... And I let that go on that way, and let Benny do the hit that way, Benny would have been finished right there from such a comical hit. From such a ridiculous move. But I run over there, and there's cops already converging on him. 3 or 4 cops. And I yell at them, "Hey, back off." And they see me, they see one shoe, a knife in my hand. I guess I look crazy, all pumped up on the adrenaline. And I just told them, "Back off. Get out of here. It's none of your business." They jumped over. They're the ones that jumped over the counters.
The cops literally jumped over the counters because I had my knife out. I had my knife out this way, so the blade was sticking out this way. I was going to do overhanded thrusts, right? I had tried the forward thrusts with Indio, and it didn't work well. So I knew. Cuate taught me. He says overhand to the hilt, overhand to the hilt, right? And so I kept that in mind, right? That it's a killing blow. It goes all the way through bone, everything. It just boom, boom, boom. So I'm charging down the aisle with a knife, saying, "Get the f away! Back off! Back off!" And I kept telling them, "It's none of your business." And they leapt over the counters like freaking hurdlers. Poop, poop, poop. It was comical. I mean, I'm laughing at this, but it's a horrible incident. Mon didn't have that coming. Let me say that now. Mon did not have this coming. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't break the rules. Squat the politicked on him. He was up in 2904 with Joe Morgan. And he kept whispering in Joe Morgan's ears, Mon's politicking on you, Mon's politicking on you, Mon's politicking. I mean, that's how gullible Joe was for Cuate. Cuate could tell him anything, and Joe would just say, yeah. And maybe that's where Cuate got the idea that he could run the county jail. But Mon didn't do a damn thing. He didn't have a hit coming. He didn't have a hit coming. He took it like a warrior. He did. He really did. Nobody could say anything bad about that until we'll get to that point.
They jump over the counters, and I commenced to try to hit Mon. I start stabbing him a couple times, and he starts kicking me. He starts doing his way out martial arts thing. He starts kicking me in the face and the chest, and it's hurting. This guy's kicking me pretty hard. So I administered one to his buttocks, and it stopped him from the kicking. It turned him. It turned him because he didn't want to get stabbed in the rear anymore, and it opened them all up right here. And I knew I had to take him down at that point because he was too good with his feet. He was just kicking defensively with his feet. He's chained. He has Benny in one, like a headlock. One arm's chained, and he's throwing karate kicks at me. That's how good this guy is. And the officers keep converging on me, they're hitting me.
I forgot all about that. That he has Benny in a headlock, and he's doing these crazy ass kung fu kicks at me, and he's kicking me hard. I mean, hard, you know. And I knew it. I said, got to get him on the ground. Got to get him on the ground. Ground and pound. That was my whole idea. Ground and pound. Once I had him on the ground, I knew I could finish him.
Dicks and those little leather-bound notebooks, and just ridiculous. There's this woman, the most courageous of them all. I forgot her name. She was a Hispanic girl. She's beating me with this book. Pow, 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 pow. And I look up and I said, knock it off. Knock it off. And she just keeps, she's unrelenting. She's just hitting me with this book. Stop it, you're killing him, you're killing him. So I stood up.
This deputy was gorgeous. Blonde hair, blue eyes, spoke fluent Spanish. She was from Spain, I believe, or her family was from Spain. And she was the boldest of them all. She jumped. She really saved Mon's life because she kept distracting me by hitting me and kicking me, right? And it got to the point where she was intervening so much that I stood up and told her, hey, back off. You know, just stop it. You know, when he's dead, we'll surrender. And she would back up. And I didn't threaten her in any way whatsoever. Didn't threaten any officer whatsoever. You know, I just told her, just back the F up. You know, this is my business. And when we're done, it's done. Then you could take us to jail, which meant the hole, right? So I remember her specifically. I wish I could remember her name. If any LASD guys out there remember, please put her name in the comments. She's a hero.
And I told her, knock it off. And she jumped over the thing and she stopped after that. I didn't threaten her, didn't even point the knife at her. I just told her, knock it off. And there's this other cop, Zimmerman. I actually seen him here. He came to the back of my cell and seen me right here about 2 weeks ago. He's kicking me. So I turned around and I threatened him with a knife. And I told him, look, this is business. This has nothing to do with you guys. We're not going to hurt you. We're going to kill this guy. Just knock it off, all right? We'll give up once we're done. And I jump back on him. I start hitting Mon over and over repeatedly. At this point, Benny's talking stuff to him. Die like a man, you punk, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And I could just hear every time I stab Mon, he's just like, oh, this is deep groaning sound. And I feel it penetrating. You know, there's no other feel like it when you stab somebody. It's kind of a gruesome feel. It's going through gristle and cartilage, and it's just a brutal feel. This guy's getting brutalized. He's drenched at this point. We know it's a big thing we're doing here. We know it's a huge hit in terms of the mob. We know that the PR we're going to get from it is huge. We know that the coverage we're going to get on is going to be big, and we want to finish it. We want to finish it off, so we kill the guy right there. So Benny keeps telling me, keep it up, don't stop. So I'm on him. You know, we're brutalizing this guy. And Zimmerman comes back. This guy's heroic, Zimmerman. I never thought about that, but he's heroic in trying to save Mon. And he keeps kicking me. You know, he'll get in there and he'll kick me. When I turn around with a knife, he'll back up a little bit. And I keep telling him, knock it off. And finally, something happens with my handle. It bends a little bit. The handle bends a little bit. And I figure, that's it. I'm already tired. I'm already spent. I mean, I'm emotionally and physically spent. I'm dripping sweat and I'm covered with blood. And the whole place smells like wet pennies. You know, that copper bloody smell? It smells like that. It's just the stench of brutalities everywhere. So I tell Benny, that's it, man. He says, okay. He's dead anyways. And I stand up. I look at the cops. And there's this lady in the corner screaming. Some parole officer or something. I don't know who she is. But I toss the knife over towards that direction, and it goes skittering that way, and the attorneys all scatter from it. They're scared of the knife, apparently. They get away from it. And I immediately go down and I cover up, because I know they're going to attack me. And they go in and they attack me. Zimmerman grabs a hold of me, a few other... I'm getting pulled in every direction. And they take me over towards the booths, and I get punched a couple times, and I start mouthing off to Zimmerman. I start threatening him, so I'm gonna get you. You know, you don't touch me that way. And but he did not abuse me in any way. I guess the guy was trying to subdue me. You know, he's still pumped up on adrenaline. Everybody's pumped up.
Sure.
Everybody's pumped up. But I took it personally. We get back to the hospital.
Let me set the record straight. Hold the freaking presses. Zimmerman punched me right in the eye. I think I was being politically correct right there. I didn't want him to get in trouble, right? And he worked at the station there, right? He was a senior at the time, the two stripers. So it's about maybe 4:30 in the morning, 5. I made my cup of coffee. I'm watching my little TV. I'm in the back cell. I'm in a substation, mind you. I've been living here for about, maybe 90 days. And Zimmerman walks by, and the outside lights are off on the tier, so I can't really see him. I see a body there. But all I can see is my reflection on the glass front of the cell front, because in Walnut, the entire front is glass, right? So if their light's off and your light's on, all you can see is your reflection and can't really see them. But he says, hey, how you doing? Something of that nature, right? Small talk. And I'm doing good. I just had my coffee watching the news. And like for a minute or so, he engages in small talk. He says, you don't remember me, do you? And I said, no, who are you, boss? And contrary to popular belief, to all law enforcement listening out there, it doesn't mean big old sack of shit. It does not mean that. Boss is a terminology of respect. Like, he's the boss. He's got the keys. He's got the gun. He's the boss. It doesn't mean anything but that. I've heard COs say that, but that's that stupid CCPOA mentality that tries to make everything negative, right, about inmates, right? But when I said it with respect. And I wanted to make that clarification because I've heard cops say that before. Boss means a big old sack of shit. I said, don't mean that. Maybe you think of yourself that way, but I don't intend it that way. You're the boss. That's it. So I digress. I'm bad at that, right? As I get older, I start rambling. But he's making small talk and just throws it out there. You don't recognize me, do you? I said, no, I don't. I can't really see you, So he flips on the outside light switch. It's this little lever that slides up and down, right? You can dim it or turn it up high. And I look at him. I don't recognize him, but then I look at his little patch. His little patch over, I think it's his right pocket, right? The sheriffs have it over their right pocket. Or their left pocket, I don't know which. And it says Zimmerman, and I looked at him and I pointed at him. I said, you socked me in the eye. And he went like, hey. I said, no, bro. I says, no hard feelings, I says, I'm on this side. I defected from the organization. I don't have any hard feelings. I know you were doing your job, and that's how it went down. And he says, hey, well, I wish you well, man. And and he took off. I never saw him again. I don't know what happened to him. He's got to be retired by now. Got to be retired. But that's the real story. He when I was cuffed up, prone out on my stomach, and my hands cupped behind my back, he pulled my hair. He got behind me and pulled my hair and boom, socked me in the eye. And I got a big old swollen eye under my right eye. And it just pissed me off to no end. I started telling him, MFer, you're done. I am going to have you hunted down. Do you realize what you just did to me? You realize what you just did to me. This is not going to be the end of it. And we went back and forth like, F you. And I'm like, okay, we're going to see who F's who. And I was dead serious, right? All the way to, because they'd have to take us to the infirmary because we're all drenched in blood. They think that we're cut. And I wasn't cut, but I had stabbed Benny in the process, right? He kept getting in the way. And all I kept hearing was this noise he was making when I was rooting on Mon. I mean, I'm wailing Mon. Boom, 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 boom. His whole side, his abdomen, his back, his buttocks, all this, like 30 times. And Benny only stabbed him once. But every time I would stab him on, he was making this noise like, eh, eh, eh. That's all he was doing. Like a little duck or something. I don't know what it was, but he kept making this stupid little noise, right? And by the time I got 30 and I was tired. I was tired. I had been wired up from adrenaline all day. And then just waiting out in that attorney room for him, I was like, it was a lot. Emotionally, physically, psychologically, I was drained. So, let's continue with the video.
We're all covered in blood. We all have to be checked. We're all covered in blood. We're all disheveled. And I see this guy. I'm focusing on him. For some reason, my adrenaline won't stop going, and I'm focusing on Zimmerman. And I tell him, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. You put your hands on me. I'm going to get you. So they brought this lieutenant out, and the lieutenant brings Benny out. And Benny's cut. He stabbed himself in the hand. That's the only thing he stabbed the whole hit. He stabbed himself in the hand.
No, we later learned that I stabbed Benny in the hand.
And they messed up my knee. I have a pretty bad knee. I had to reconstruct it a few times. They jumped on it. They messed it up. And Mom, we think he's dead. We think he's dead. He's incapacitated. He's just out of it. During the hit, he's yelling for them to get us off of him. Get him off of me. That's the only weakness I've seen in the guy. But I think he feared his own mortality at that point. But he said, get him off of me. He said it twice. Get him off of me. And so we're in the hospital at that point. And then they bring Benny out and he talks me down. He says, okay, it's over, Rene. It's, just relax. I said, this guy, he socked me in the eye. I had a nice mouse under my eye. She socked me in the eye. I'm going to cut this guy's heart out. And you want to continue?
Not yet. That's Zimmerman you're talking about.
Yeah, Zimmerman. Those are only 30-minute tapes?
These are,
C30.
they're on, that's a 30
I have 90-minute tapes in the
on
house.
each side. I've got some.
Okay.
I should have put one in. Have you ever seen Zimmerman since?
I've seen him right back here. Really, I'll bring you that.
And he remembers you?
Yeah. So one of the officers.
Forget that.
I think I made an impact on him. Oh, we got a cuchillo.
I heard it from the deputy side. That's how I know about that. Two of the deputies I talked to. That's good.
Good.
And they never forgot that.
No thanks.
We told them, back off. This is only business.
Those are the phrases we used.
Mm-hmm.
And
But they were shocked by that.
that we would do that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
The female is the one. Did you see 60-minute thing?
I seen her. She said she has to wear bulletproof vests now and all that.
That's her.
And she's been targeted by the Mexican Mafia. We didn't even know her name. Then she's claiming workman's comp and all that, post-traumatic stress syndrome. And
No.
I don't doubt that she was traumatized by it.
Oh, yeah, because she was sitting right there.
But I think she put a little bit on it,
Well, no, what she was concerned about is she testified in the RICO.
Oh.
And she felt that if she did that, testify about that stabbing, that there would be repercussions.
I was always concerned that they indicted Benny and they didn't indict me. I was going to look bad when they did that.
Funny.
Yeah, I thought I was going to look bad.
That's the truth. They indicted Benny for that stabbing in that first RICO in 1995. I was an unindicted co-conspirator. The first RICO they did against the Mexican Mafia when Chuco flipped and all the hotel camera videos and all that stuff, I was supposed to be indicted, right? I don't know why they didn't do it. To this day, I can't figure out why they did. They indicted Benny, who was just really a big old dummy, right? But I guess they used him as a figurehead. That's the only thing I could think of. But I always worried, like, Well, they're going to think, that how come he didn't get indicted? If Benny was indicted, how come he didn't get indicted? And it was always a concern of mine. Like I was going to look bad politically or something. And I didn't care if I got indicted or not. I already had 3 life sentences. How was I going to finish 3 life sentences? I couldn't even finish one. I wouldn't care if the feds gave me another one. And I'm trying to remember the probation officer's name. The probation officer is not the female who jumped in heroically. That was an LASD deputy. So there are 2 women we're talking about. The other one's name was Mundo will know. If somebody knows the name, throw it in there in the comments. But looking back on the PTSD now, I know it was a traumatic experience, right? It had to have scarred her for life, and I hope she's doing well now. And she should know that the mafia was never after her. If she even has any inclination or any inkling that she's still in danger, she's not. Mexican Mafia does not target law enforcement at all. It just doesn't do that, right? Even if they testify. How many cops and prosecutors and people have worked against the Mafia and they don't target them, right? Every case that the Mafia goes through, a cop gets on the stand. They're not targeted. It's just not done.
They let you both walk right on that one, didn't they?
No,
They prosecuted on that one?
they prosecuted us both. I played out on it.
Forgotten that.
So are we rolling?
Yeah.
So we get done with it here, and the last words I say to Zimmerman, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna get you. You put your hands on me, and don't you know who I am? Blah 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 blah, and all that stupid Mexican Mafia rhetoric.
That's the arrogance. That's the arrogant asshole that I was. Don't you know who I am? It just sounds so freaking stupid coming out of my mouth right there. It just doesn't it? I mean, that's who I thought I was. That's who I thought I was at the time. Like I was untouchable. And how dare a cop put his hands on me? How dare a cop do his job? It sounds ridiculous, right? I look at it like, man, that was really a jerk.
We always espouse, and then we go up they put us up in the isolation area. There's an empty block up there, 3234. And they put Benny on one end of the tier and then me on the other side of the tier, and they're recording us. So me and Benny are talking, and I kind of have figured they're recording us, so I don't want to talk too much. But Benny is he's a mouth. He's a mouth. I mean, you tell me, Benny, I'm going to bed. He'll keep talking to you even when you're asleep. He's all jazzed up on the adrenaline and stuff, so we start talking about it. He starts talking about the hit, and we think we'll come on the news, and it's all recorded. It's all recorded. They're getting it verbatim. They're hanging us. Well, we're done already. We know we're done. We did it in front of God and everybody, so there's no denying it. I mean, there's no plausible deniability in this. There's not even an affirmative defense in this.
And had you been convicted yet on the Galvin thing? No, you're waiting trial.
We're waiting trial. I'm actually already focusing on going to death row. I think I'm going to death row, so we're gonna put in as much work as possible.
Here's the reality, right? Had I not done that hit, I would have got a manslaughter. Because right after that, they came to my co-defendant, Mo Ruiz, Little Mo from White Fence, with a manslaughter deal. 20 years, flat, on a double murder. And had I not done this, I would have got the same deal. Because the primary witness in the case, Anthony Avales Chino from White Fence, who flipped on us, told an informant that it was him that did it and not us. He had just destroyed his credibility, and that's the only witness they had. So I would have been out a whole lot sooner than what I did, right? But I made my bed. This is who I was at the time. I wanted to go to death row. And that's what I'm saying right here. I think I'm going to death row, and that's where I'm destined to go. I'm going to get there, right? That was my whole goal. I don't know why that was so important to me, right? I think it was because I had such low self-esteem and such little value of my own life. If I didn't value my life, how could I value the lives of others, right? And that's why I sound so callous and capricious about, whacking Mon. It just, that's a stark realization when you come to that and you say, well, I didn't even care about myself. How am I going to care about other human life? I didn't care if I lived or died. I really didn't at that point. And that's a reflection of low self-esteem.
We're going to get things done while we're in the county jail before we go to death row. So we get indicted the next day. We go to court. We go to court the next day. We have a court appearance, and we get indicted soon thereafter. We get isolated. Benny gets kicked out of the place, and I end up 2904. So at that point in time, we start. Everybody gets kicked out of the county jail. Guate, Joe Morgan, because of that hit. They tell everybody, get out of here. That's it. We're done with you. And we end up pleading out on that. Part of my plea agreement was 15 alive, with a couple other lives running consecutive. So all I have is 115 alive. But Benny took a concurrent or consecutive life sentence on that, just to go back and watch TV. He wanted to go back and watch TV. He missed his colored TV. So he wanted to go back. They wouldn't give him visits, calls, or anything. So he says, you know what, man, I want to go back and watch TV. I'm going to take a deal. So he took a deal, and he was gone. Benny had no vision, really. He just, living for the minute, just living for the moment. That's all Benny was. I mean, he was a really good guy in terms of keeping you entertained. But as a human being, as an individual, as a friend, as a loyal partner and all that, you couldn't count on Benny. Benny would sell you out. I've seen him turn on so many people. It's surprised me. The way Benny was. And I had heard it all these years about how Benny was and how he lied and all these things. I never believed it because he was a good friend of mine. I really liked Benny. And I was, for years, a loyal supporter of Benny's. I mean, by anybody's estimation, CDC, law enforcement, everybody knew I was Benny's man. I stood behind Benny. I would whack people for him if he wanted it. He was just a friend of mine because he had golden word with me. I could see beyond all the ugliness towards his heart as a carnal. And that's his dedication to the organization. And that's what I looked at towards giving people the golden word. And that was something special. They ask anything, and it's done. Widow Shy, you ask me anything? Sure. Sammy Bialba, a couple other guys, Chaco Padilla, Daryl Baca. Not many people in the organization had that from me, but they knew I would do it. They knew that if they asked me, that I wouldn't question them, I wouldn't rationalize it. They'd all they have to say was, get this done, and I'd get it done.
That is the absolute truth. The golden word. I forgot about that. That meant that their word with me was everything, And I just named off a few people that had that with me. There wasn't many. There wasn't many people that could do that, but those guys that I knew and trusted and loved, those guys, right? They had the golden word, and all they had to do was say, eliminate that guy, and I'd do it, or go whack that guy, I'll do it. But I came to the realization years later about Benny and all my friends. They weren't really friends. They weren't really that, except for Shy. I mean, I think Shy and Daryl I was really close with Daryl too. And I'm gonna get into an episode about how me and him got into conflict and how it was created by Jaco Padilla, and I'll get into that. But I still, I have a great amount of love for Daryl and Shy, two guys that from my hood. And I lived with Daryl for years, and Shy, I knew him for years, and they had golden word with me. Anything they asked, I would do it, and they knew that. I wouldn't hesitate, right? I remember one time I was in a visiting room in DBI, and Daryl asked me, the first time I'd see him in years, since Chino, California. We went to Chino, the state prison together. We got processed in. I saw him years later at DBI. He's in the K-Wing, I think, or O-Wing. I think it's K-Wing. I think they called it that. He's in the hole. I'm in the general population, and I see him in the visiting room, and he tells me to whack this not a Mongol, a Vago. Some Vago had disrespected him, and I told him, yeah, sure, no problem. A week later or so, boom, I did it, and he knew then that I would do anything for him, right? And he would do anything for me, right? He would do anything for me. And Shai knew the same thing. Shai knew that without a moment's hesitation. I would do whatever they asked me to do. But you come to the realization years later that that's all bullshit, right? It's all bullshit. Because they'll whack you out just as quick as you'll do something for them, right? But I still consider them my friends, even though that they're resigned to, eliminate me whenever they see me. I get that, I signed up for that. But they're always in my hearts, I know that sounds crazy, but I don't know. They're just stuck in there. Can't get out. Can't get it out. They're just always going to be that to me. I think that ended the video. I think that ends the video. What a shocker. We've been talking for so many minutes that it ended the video. All right, folks. With that said, I hope you appreciated this this take on being made. Again, story of the Black Hand. As always, folks, let me know what you think about the side stories and the commentary and the annotation and all the stuff that comes along with it. This stuff joggles so many memories, man. It brings up so many emotions and feelings. And I'm gonna tell you something. Sometimes I can't sleep after I do this. Like tonight, I don't think I'm gonna be able to sleep. I think I'm gonna have nightmares, right? Because this kicks off the PTSD, right? But you know what? If it could do somebody good, it dissuade one person from participating in the lifestyle, then I think we've done our job, right? Because that's what it's really about. You know, getting one guy to leave, right? And I'm not trying to destroy the mob, but I couldn't do that. You know, that they're going to do that themselves. But I'm not. I ain't got nothing against those guys. You know, they are who they are. But there's some people just let them live their lives, man. And if this helps them live their life, then I've done some good work. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video, folks. I enjoyed making it for you. With that said, I'm out. Be safe. Peace out.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Boots.